Good afternoon, Buffaloes Nation. Welcome back, I guess, to the Buffaloes podcast. It's been a while since we've done one of these. I'll explain in just a moment why. But yeah, it's episode 20. Finally coming at the end of all the Buffaloes team seasons. I'm going to get into so much this afternoon, coming up within this next hour, half hour at that, perhaps, most likely more. I'm your host, by the way, Graham the G Show Forsyth. This edition of the Buffaloes podcast, as it's always been all season long, brought to you by Make Canada Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Be sure to check out their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg today, as well as checking out their website, makecanadafasteners.shop. Also brought to you by Terrico, serving Manitoba producers for over 80 years in the agricultural industry. To find out why they're so trusted and to take a look at their products, if you're interested, check out terrico.ca for more details. And to goaltenders, your goalies personal video review service, check their website out at gordytumelsongoalies.ca, a one-on-one Zoom video goalie service, as it is your goalie's personal video review service, as it says there at the bottom of the screen. Speaking of Gordy Tumelson, he'll be the one and only guest joining this edition of the show, planning to have players on from the academy next week from as many teams possible, so that'll be in the works. But yeah, and taking kind of a hiatus in terms of podcasts, because with everything, not just this podcast, but with all our playoff hockey going on, man, it's been exhausting some days. And yeah, my apologies to everyone that we haven't been able to get the content out. Chosen not to in some capacity in that way, but just gotta, calm down once in a while and have the mental kind of, reset and only focus on one thing. But don't worry, we're going to be broadcasting these podcasts weekly for as long as we can until the end of the seasons. For this podcast, the Buffaloes podcast, yeah, all four teams in the academy, their seasons have been wrapped up. The U18 male Buffaloes played their last game of the season yesterday in Penticton, British Columbia. The U17s were the first team to finish. A lot of positives, I'd say, honestly, all around from all four squads in the academy having some positive at least to offer. Carson Carrolls was fantastic. The top players for the U15s were great. The U18 females seemed like they battled in every single game. And hey, the U18 Buffaloes, there was some highs and some lows in their weekend, as there has been, for them. Most of the season, it's been a lot of lows, but nice to see that they were able to get a win in there. To talk about it with me, Gordy Tumelson, we connected yesterday morning, so maybe this is a bit outdated since it's coming out a day later, but it's going to be great to reconnect with Gordy, for you guys to see us reconnect coming up here, where we talk about all of the teams in the academy and also kind of looking ahead, also talking about the players that are getting recognized, like a Kyle Beelman, who's been playing with the Winnipeg Blues in the MJHL. A lot of great stuff coming up with Gordy Tumelson, goalie, coach, marketing director, head of recruiting, and yeah, man that wears many hats at the academy. Join me here on the Buffaloes podcast for episode 20, brought to you by Make Canada Fasteners and Tools, Terrico and his brand goaltenders. Enjoy, everybody. And it's Gordy Tumelson, the only guest on this week's edition of the Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy podcast, the Buffaloes podcast. It's great to have you back on, Gordy. Great to also see some of the results I've been seeing from the teams in the playoffs down in Penticton from Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy. We'll start off with the team that finished their season first out of all the four teams in the academy. The U17s going 2-2 in total, finishing in the semifinals, losing in that spot in the Western Division 2 Prep Championships. A devastating loss, kind of in a way, 7-0 to a really good Southern Alberta Hockey Academy team, right, Gordy? But to see how this U17 team was able to compete and fight, must be pretty proud. There's a lot of pride coming from Pilot Mountain, all things considered.
Oh yeah, I mean they finished in the top half of the league, and that's a pretty nice deal in a very powerful CSSHL program across Canada. And the kids played really well. They kind of stunk the joint out in the last one. And so, but that happens, and you play 4 games in 4 days, and sometimes you run out of jam. And Saha's got a good team, and so you multiply that by two, and off you go. So, got a great season for their team in terms of our expectations and where we are in the pecking order of the CSSHL. So good for us to be as good as we were, and 2-2 is kind of just where we were at. So we got it. We did get into the semifinals with an overtime loss. That gave us the extra point, and in the round robin, and off we went to the rest of the thing. So good for our U17 guys to finish up that way.
Yeah, and just taking a look at Southern Alberta Hockey Academy, I mean, a team this year that was near the top of that, tier 12 type or tier 2 type of division, right, Gordy?
Yep.
Team that obviously this Buffalo's team had their work cut out for them against. But you talked about how this team was able to earn a point in that shootout loss. They bounced back right after that game, winning 4-3. That's been a story from this team all season long. Is it seems like after a loss, they always seem to come back with a pretty great effort all year long. How much does that say about just the mindset that Rick McConnell had this group playing with this year?
Yeah, coaches Rick McConnell and Danny Carls did a great job of keeping the spirits up and getting the most out of those players all season long. And good on us. We good on them to drive those kids as hard as they did during the season, get as much out of them, and good on the players to respond accordingly. And that's all what it's about. I mean, their careers are moving on, and in terms of the players, if not this year, next year. And so but they'll learn something from this and have to have the courage to play all season long and have ups and downs and whatnot, and still finish up strong at the end of the season. So good on our guys to teach that, promote that, and for the kids to accept that and work at it every day. Yeah, yeah, it was a good year for that team.
There's obviously questions about, who's going to be returning to this U17 group. Of course, there's 3 players that'll be aging out of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy altogether from this group in Rackland Hay, Zane Price, and Ryder Stimson. But I mean, who knows if a guy like Carson Carroll's returns, who had a really great playoff 8 points in 4 games. But in terms of the rest of the talent, what's the outlook for next season coming up in terms of this squad, specifically the U17s?
Yeah, we're hoping that Benson Hurst comes back. He's another one of those draft kids that could move to the MJ, if not to the WHL. Certainly, we think Carson Carls is gone. I think he's earmarked for Prince George next year in the Dub, and as he's just an exceptional guy, and we would be surprised if he's playing any. I'd be surprised if he's playing anywhere else but Prince George. He's there right now. In fact, finishing off his season and going to the playoffs there. And so thank God that school is flexible and you can take it on the road and you can, wherever you go, because my gosh, this guy's going to be all over the place and rightly so. As far as the rest of the kids are concerned, yeah, we're going to our goalie guys are moving out. Beelman and Moreau are going to go to the U18 program as well, and of course with the other kids coming along, yeah, we're not sure who's coming back yet. I know that they've begun working on that from the returning players issue back in Pilot Mound. So we'll see how that works out, but probably in the next uh, week or two, certainly through April, and then we'll get into signing some new players. The ID camp for U17 and U18 male teams is the 19th, 20th, and 21st of April. So we're looking forward to seeing those players and having the guys that we think are returning at the same time to kind of evaluate the new guys against the old guys and see what we got for next year.
Yeah, and obviously there could be a lot of moving parts, and I mean, yeah, Carson Carroll's looks like he's very well on his way to playing full time at the WHL level next season with Prince George. It's been a sensational year for Carson, and I mean, Pilot Mountain's had players that have gone on to do some great things at the next level afterwards, but Carson Carroll seems like probably maybe the biggest name to ever come out of Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy up until this point in terms of talent. How much has Carson Carroll's impact this season, specifically, Gordy, from a recruiting aspect? Does that kind of pique more interest in players wanting to come to Pilot Mountain? How do you feel like his performance this season kind of sets Pilot Mountain up, I guess, to bring in maybe some bigger names down the line?
Well, certainly, first of all, we're going to wish Carson all the best in his moving forward. He's a remarkable young guy. He's a great kid, be off the ice, and then on the team, he's an absolute team player, and he's literally a superstar. He has superstar written all over him. You're not the MVP of the Cup in the Western Hockey League Cup in Alberta this year for any other reason than you are a superstar. And so, and he's just, again, a superstar person. And so that helps us. I mean, no question, having Hurst and we promote to the fact that we've got them in our lineup and that they've been drafted by teams and that we can coach kids that are that good and that they can come out of a program that, sometimes people think it's an iffy program because we're not in first place. But it doesn't matter. I keep telling folks it doesn't matter what first place is. It's all in the player. It's all on the player. Let the player come in, learn from the coaches, learn from the experience, learn from playing against other teams, learn about how to become a good person, work hard in school. That's all the important stuff. The friggin' winning and losing doesn't matter. I'm sorry. And so, if we can get that through our heads in this country, in this world, we'll be a better place for it. But at the end of the day, yeah, we have promoted Carson, and we're going to continue to do that. And quite frankly, we're promoting all of our successful players. We just talked with Scott Taylor and the reporter guy, and Scott has just finishing off a second book, Indigenous book, and he's gotten information and quotes from Sage McKay and Umperhill from our U17 girls, from our U18 girls programs from a few years ago. They're NCAA Division One girls, and they're still remember Pilot Mound very fondly and say all nice things about us. And so, lots of success. And yeah, we're promoting the fact that we can deliver really good players when given the opportunity.
Well, yeah, for sure. And I mean, like Carson Carroll's has been such a treat to cover and watch this season. From what I've been able to see, getting a chance to talk to him a few times has been great too. And yeah, I mean, definitely leaving his mark on Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy after the season he had, finishing with 8 points in 4 games played in these uh, U17 Tier 2 prep playoffs. As for the U15s, Gordy, this is a squad that, of course, playing in the consolation side of things, but tearing it up in the 3 games they had a chance to play in, going undefeated, winning 5-3, 7-3, and then 5-3 again. I mean, we've talked about it, beat it like a dead horse, to be honest with you, Gordy, how winning doesn't matter, but for a U15 team that struggled a lot this season to get in the win column at times. Had success, of course, by winning at times on the scoreboard, but to finish it off like this, of course, against competition that suits more of their style, their skill level, but got to be a huge confidence booster for a team that struggled to get wins this year.
Well, I just blathered on again about winning isn't important. Of course, it's important, and anybody out there that thinks that I don't think it is, we all love to win. It makes you smile. It makes you feel good. It's all that good stuff. It's not the important factor in an individual player's development is what I guess I should qualify. Certainly from a team aspect, winning's great. I know that Gavin Hildebrand, the goalie of two of those 3 games, the winning goalie of 2 of those 3 games, came back and said, "Yeah, we're the best of the worst." He's just, and he smiled and he's happy and he's feeling good about it. And good for Gavin to understand that that's what the game. It's just a game.
Yeah.
No, we're not. It's not life and death. It's part of life, I guess, but it certainly isn't the life and death part of it. And so good on him to understand that as a 13-year-old kid playing in the U15 program, and his maturity is great on this. But yeah, our kids stepped up. In fact, their team was 4-0 at the end of the year. They won their last league game, and then they won three in a row out in BC. So they're pretty proud of what they did. And all season long, I think we talked about this, Graham, that it's piss and vinegar for them. They always showed up to play hard. Sometimes it didn't work out very well for them, but they tried. And boy, if we can get every kid on every team in every sport to try hard every time, my gosh, sports becomes the greatest thing going. Too often, kids, they slump their shoulders because they're down 2-0 early in the game, and they have no fight left. Well, that's not right, And of course, I work with our goalies on that, but all players in all positions should realize that it's how you show the people out there your fight and desire is wonderful. And this U15 did this all the way along. And I got to give coaches Colin Pfaffer, a guy from Philadelphia, out of the Philadelphia Flyers sort of youth coaching program, and Tyson McConnell coming up under his dad, Rick, coming out of Pilot Mound and playing junior hockey here in Manitoba. Those two guys did a great job of keeping those young kids moving forward. So younger coaches moving this program forward was really neat to see, and we're proud of that young group.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. I'll just make this point that there is that young coaching staff coming in that emphasizes, of course, the hard work that we've seen this year to really connect with. I mean, the youngest team on paper, the U15s, of course, by definition, with them being the youngest age category in Pilot Mountain. But yeah, I mean, like he said, this team was never out of it in terms of their effort level all season long. That effort level was pretty consistent. And hey, players stepped up as the season went along too, not just a player in Forrest Carlson and a player like Gavin Noseworthy in these playoffs, but a player in Sam Carnegie as well, tied with the same amount of points as Cole Landerville at 5. That, I guess, huge for Pilot Mound as the season went along for this team. It wasn't just the top end guys getting going. Yeah, Sam was a top 5 point getter on the team, but to see, the other players out of those top guys step up and the rest of the group must have made it even that much more special for this U15 team, given that success, knowing everyone was rolling.
Well, they all got better, and that we pride ourselves at Pilot Mound, knowing that we're going to make them better. We're going to help make them better. It's up to the kids, of course, to be better and to figure it out, whatever it is out there in the real world of it in sports. But we're going to help make them better if they try hard, work hard, concentrate on what they're doing. And yeah, in terms of points, we some kids got better. Defensive play, we got better. We're better in our own end, way better in our end. When we started the season, then I can ask my goalie guys, who's better now? They're all better. All of our defensemen are better, and that's really important. And again, for the general U15 hockey kid public, out there in Manitoba and whoever else is watching these podcasts, we can deliver really good hockey players. Forrest Carlson, of course, has had a magnificent growth season. He's gone from a pretty good player to whoa, Noseworthy. He's like a bulldog on the rink. I mean, he pounds away on people. He is a different player. He's a go to the net guy. Carlson's more of a stick handling dude and all that stuff. So, and then of course you got Landerville, which we hope comes back next year. What a smooth kid he is, kind of a Stan Mikita, if you're back in my day, kind of a guy. Wow. So we've got great kids coming up, and as you say, Sam did a great job of catching up in scoring, and our defensemen got better. I'm excited about the fact that as the season comes to a close, and we see some of the effort we make in these playoffs, that we know that these kids who came here spent a lot of money to come here, as they do in every academy. But we know that they're going to get better, and they have. and they all have a future in hockey as far as they want to take it and we can help them get there continually as long as they want to keep coming back.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of this, Gordy, is this is a U15 program, meaning that they're only going to get older, and that means, for the U17s and U18 programs, you could potentially benefit from this talent. I mean, we've talked about it before, how that's kind of the goal. That's always the vision when you have younger teams to older teams. You want to advance them up the ranks, but I mean, knowing how hard all of these gentlemen work this season, knowing that you can have that throughout your team, you already know you're going to get that all-in effort from these players. Does it make the recruiting aspect of things potentially not easier down the line, but it simplifies your needs a bit, I guess, when you're looking to go out and get other players. You already have them in-house potentially.
Yeah, we've people look at programs and go, who's come out of there? And now we've been saying we've had guys come and girls come out of there, but now we've even got better guys and better girls coming out of there. Come up a couple of our girls. One of our girls, Karis Wintink, is going to Indiana Tech. Our third player to go to Indiana Tech in the last 3 years, Haley Anderson and Ashley Episcopo, are there going into their fourth year next year. Um, a neat story on because I'm the only guest, I can go on and on, I guess. But a neat story on Carson Carls. Uh, we all could see that Carson, the dad could see this, the academy could see this, hockey in Manitoba could see this, the world could see this. This kid's going to be a really good hockey player. That's 2 years ago when he came to us. This guy's already he's already going to be a star. So now the question is, where does he go? Okay, so he's played 1 year. He plays his first year of U15 at Pilot Mountain, and of course, then the question comes is, well, every other academy in Canada, oh, we've got a better program than you got. Pilot Mountain's okay, but blah blah blah. I'll tell you what, they give credit to their family and because they're local people, and and the credit to our coaching staffs and to the dedication that the folks out in Pilot Mountain have. No, you just stay with us. We'll get your kid to where he needs to go. Well, here he is, first year U17 guy. Boom, he's going right to the dub, coming out of little Pilot Mountain, isolated. Kind of everybody, kind of a lot of people snub their nose at the place. Well, you know what? This is my recruitment program, I guess, Graham. But by gosh, what a great job that Carson did, his dad did, his family did, and our coaching staff and everybody who works and in our program. Our AT people, our all those folks. I mean, we just they just work really hard for these kids, and there's the success that we can deliver when given that opportunity. And I'm glad that Hurst and Carson took those chances. And now we have Forrest Carlson and Noseworthy and Gavin Hildebrand and many others that we can continue to promote into our program.
Well, yeah, and one last word on Noseworthy as well for how physical I've heard he plays. More rough style of game. Only 12 penalty minutes in 61 total games this season. So gotta love that from a player too, Gordy. When you can get in the other team's kitchen and also not, cost you as much taking penalties at that as it sometimes goes. We're going to take a break. We're going to talk about one more player from the U17 group, specifically a goaltender who's gotten his shot playing some junior hockey the end of his 2023-2024 season. We'll also get into the U18 programs, both the female and male prep programs, where the U18 males still have one more game left to play at least coming up today. You're watching the Buffaloes podcast with myself, Graham the G Show Forsyth, and Gordy Tummelson. Be back in just a moment here, Buffaloes fans. Welcome back, everybody, to the Buffaloes podcast. It's been a lot of fun reconnecting with Gordy Tummelson, talking about the Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy, Buffaloes, all the programs. We've talked about the U17s already, Gordy, but we'll talk about them again because of one player in specific, Kyle Beeman, getting called up to play in the MJHL. He's played 2 games at this point. Talk about, what that's been like for Kyle at this point. I'm sure he's enjoying it, but also speaks to, like we've been talking about already, how much work he put in to be rewarded for this opportunity. How special is that? Seeing that being Kyle's goaltending coach to see him get this opportunity.
Well, it takes a community to bring up a player and a kid and all that stuff. And here we are. We've got our Pilot Mound community that's helped Kyle get to his 2 games in the MJ. And we don't like injuries to anybody, but sick and injured are the 2 goalies for the Blues, and Kyle's on their 50-man roster, a protected roster, and they brought up an emergency guy out of Oak Park High School, and Kyle's been the guy the last 2 games. He's given up a few goals, but he's had about 1 million shots, and so Pilot Mound has been a good teaching place for him, a good learning place. Sorry, lots of shots, and he's in really good shape. Yeah, I'm really proud of Kyle. I mean, Kyle's just he came to us last year. The Winnipeg Thrashers did not have a goalie coach, and that was a disappointment for their team. And so Kyle began as he played on the team as the first year U17. So come year 2, he started to look around, found us, we found him. Coach Rick McConnell liked him at one of our ID camps or practice sessions. Thought he was the best guy for us. He joined the team, and he's been nothing but a dedicated young guy like the other goalies we have in our program. And he's had the opportunity this year to get a couple of games in, and he's been super in both games, and whatnot. He called me before he played Portage on Friday, and and he was or Thursday, I guess. He was really excited about having that opportunity, and we talked a little bit about just being Kyle, and he went out and was just Kyle, and he was really really good, and again he played against somebody I can't even remember who he played against the other night, or against Dauphin, I guess, and had a really strong game there too, making 50 saves. So yeah, he's worked hard. We've got 2 guys just like him back in Pilot waiting for their chance. Pete Moreau has been with us for 3 years, waiting for something to break in Dauphin so he can play there. And of course, Quinn Burfoot's been in exhibition games at Niverville. And so we've got 3 kids, all U17 guys, all guys who can come back and play on our U18 team next year. So we got to maybe open up a third spot on our U18 team. I don't know how we're going to do that. There's not enough nets for these kids, but I'm proud of our goalie program. We work really hard to develop the kids, and if the kid wants it, we just much like Carson Carls and all those other guys and girls, if they want it bad enough, we're able to deliver the information they need to work on and how to work on it, et cetera, to get them to the next level. And so proud of Kyle, and proud of the rest of our goalies who await their turn whenever their chance comes.
Yeah, and Kyle going up against some pretty good competition too. I mean, Dolphin is a playoff team, Portage as well is a playoff team, and Winnipeg, the Blues, it hasn't been the easiest season for them, of course, going through injury. It's great that Kyle's been able to have a chance, though, and great that his time over at Pilot Mound helping him out at that next level, the level with the amount of shots he's faced throughout his time with the Buffaloes, and great for him to get this opportunity, of course. As for the U18 female program, though, Gordy, talking about them, they were in every one of their games, of course, but lost in, 3 close ones, pretty much. Or actually winning the first game 5-4, losing the next 2 3-5, 4-1 as well. Talk about this U18 female team, though. Was it about par for the course in terms of the effort we saw from them to end off this year?
Yeah, they played pretty well at the end. The girls try really hard. We just don't have a talent level, but that's okay. And we know that the better players that are graduating, I think all of our graduating players, I believe, are all being looked at to sign with an ACHA one or an NCAA program next year. So I think we've got 5 or 6 girls that are graduating, and all of them are moving to some sort of a college program that will help them continue their education and their hockey their time in hockey as well. And normally with signing with teams as early as they're going to sign, there's a few dollars for them as well. That helps out with their education the first year for sure, and then maybe beyond. So we're quite proud of the individuals, and the team effort, of course, is always seems to be there with the girls.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw that as this year's gone along, the effort level of heard about it. Kurt Fortney has been the one constant in terms of being a coach on this team all year long, and he's spoken so highly about this group. I mean, just being able to see that, winning that first game 5-4, fighting the way they did, and obviously ending off with the two losses, but for this U18 group, like you said, they're going to have players that are moving on to that next level. As for the players that are going to be returning to this club next year, Gordy, obviously looking to build off of the efforts from this year into next year.
Yeah, we've got I think and Kurt's been great. He's been the glue on that team because we've had a number of changes of the coach from the start of the season. But Kurt was been great holding things together. Ryan Carls and Amy Ramage have been sort of the consistent next coaches and whatnot. And so Ryan's been sort of the head coach lately, with Amy being right in sort of a co-head coach. And they worked really hard this last half of the year to kind of get their game up, the team game up to some certain level. They did that. The teams that we lost to closely at the end of the season would have kicked our butts earlier in the season. So we made headway. We made headway as team, and we made headway as individual players. So proud of the effort the girls put into sort of catch up with the rest of the league. And yeah, we've got 7 or 8 kids signed, I believe, from going into next year now. And some of those are returning players. I know we have another half a dozen returning players that are being evaluated. And of course, on the 22nd and 23rd of March, a week from now, there's a girls' ID camp. And of course, with all of our programs, players that are out there that are interested in seeing what Pilot Mountain has to offer. It's a 2-hour, nice, friendly trip on a nice Highway 3 going out to southwestern Manitoba to a practice or to our May 11th extra session if we don't get to the May 22nd and 23rd sessions. We'll see you at practice if you'd like to come out there and see us. And I know you'll be surprised at the facilities that are available. This is a small town that's hit big city facility wise. So yeah, please come out and say hi if you're able to. The girls program, and of course the 3 boys programs as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Definitely have seen the improvements, upgrades from the facilities firsthand as I went out there
Mhm.
a few times this year, Gordon, as you know. And yeah, highway drive isn't so bad to Pilot Mound. You got a nice view coming in, especially with the town before it, La Riviere, with the beautiful sights on your way through to Pilot Mound for sure. For
Sure.
this U18 group, Gordy, to finish off with them, 1-1 at this point. They have one more game coming up in just a bit here. Pacific time, of course, 11:45 against Notre Dame. They lost to Coeur d'Alene Hockey Academy 16-4 yesterday, but started off with a 6-5 win against the Wenatchee Wild Hockey Academy. This group, it's been a high to start off, a low yesterday, but looking to finish off on high, I'm sure, against Notre Dame coming up today.
Tough season for these young guys, but they're battling like crazy. Yesterday they ran into a wall, and none of them had it. Nobody had anything going for them. It seemed. Don't know why. And so now, as I said to the goalies after the game, there's another game tomorrow. Don't just forget this one and just go carry on. And that's what they'll do. And good on the kids on that team to do what they're going to do today. They're going to play Notre Dame today. And we've had some good games with Notre Dame. In particular, we had a 4-0 loss in our last game with them. So we're not far behind them. We've moved up the ladder. We were a bit further behind them at the start of the year, and now we've gotten closer. We get one of those big goalie games. I'm going to guess Quinn Burfoot's going to start today. If we can get one big game out of him, this game could be a 1-goal game either way. Looking forward to knocking off our arch rivals in southern Saskatchewan, the Notre Dame Hounds.
Gordy, obviously, uh, there's teams like the U17s, the U18 female group that are having players age out. This group, though, has quite a few that are aging out, from a player in Calix Monkman to many more, about over or just at half of the team, that will be moving on. So, with that into consideration, knowing that this is a Notre Dame team, that this team has been close against all season long, could we be seeing maybe the best effort on display from this U18 team today, given that it is, for a lot of these players, the last time they'll be wearing a Buffaloes jersey?
Oh, sure. I mean, you go, you travel out there, spend 2 days on a bus getting somewhere, and it's been a long season, and you run into the wall yesterday. And Coeur d'Alene's a really good team, better than their record showed, and we all thought that, and they showed it yesterday. And I guess we don't play well, and that's why the score goes the way it does. But nonetheless, we expect to have a good game from all of our players, but certainly from the kids that are going to play their last game. Hopefully, they're going to go out on a high note. That's the way to do this, and I think they believe. I know they believe they can beat Notre Dame, and what a way to do this for the first time this year in the last game of the season. And I know that Coach Anthony Florentino, who's taken over as head coach, looks forward to motivating those kids in the right direction for one last game and one last win.
Sure. And yeah, it's been a season that's been tough for this team on the scoreboard, but obviously they've had some successes, including a win to start off their playoff schedule a few days ago. Looking to bounce back one last time after losing 16-4 the other day against a team that they're familiar with, and Notre Dame coming up in Penticton very soon here for myself, Graham the G Show Forsyth. Gonna let Gordy Tummelson go now. Gordy, we might do this a few more times this year. It's crazy. We're winding down. But it's been great talking with you all year long. Can't wait to do it again coming up soon. You enjoy your weekend coming up ahead.
Always great time, brother Graham. Thank you.
And Gordy Tummelson joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast for one of the final times this season. I'm thinking we're going to run this podcast 2 or 3 more times at that. Yeah, the end of a season, truly, at this point, officially for the Buffaloes, as their U18 male team played their final game of the season yesterday, being the final team to be playing their playoff schedule down in Penticton, British Columbia, and ending off their season with a win, man. I mean, all the downs this team had this season in terms of getting blown out, this team answered back with a finishing win to end things off 3-2 against the Notre Dame Hounds yesterday at the Okanagan Hockey Training Center. Just to get the game results for you guys, Notre Dame outshot Pilot Mountain 40-21. Both teams had power play goals. The Buffaloes killed off 6 penalties out of the 7 they took, scored on one of the 5 power play chances they had. The goal scorers for Pilot Mountain in this one was Jean-Michel Leroux, Mateo Andrew, and Connor Wilder scoring for this team. Big time. Tyler Ferguson with a big 14 penalty minute night, as well as Calix Monkman, I guess, afternoon at that. Quinn Burfoot, 38 saves on 40 shots against. So tremendous work there from that Buffaloes team to end things off, especially after getting blown out 16-4 against Coeur d'Alene the day before. But yeah, I'll be back after this with some final words on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. A bit more than that as I take you through who are the leading point getters on all these Buffaloes teams throughout these playoffs in Penticton. Stick around, folks, for a bit more after this next transition. Welcome back, everybody, to the Buffaloes podcast. Not going to keep you much longer. I just want to run through the points for all the Buffaloes in the championship. Well, not championships, but the playoffs that they were playing in this season. We'll start off with the team that we talked about first, myself and Gordy Tomlinson, the U17 Buffaloes, as we filter things out here. But yeah, I mean, they end up losing to South Alberta Hockey Academy to end things off. This is a team that went 2-2, finishing top four, Final Four, near the top of the Division Two, Tier Two in the Prep U17 division. It was Carson Carrolls who led the Buffaloes in points with 8. He was also tied for the lead goal scoring on the team, along with Zane Price and Dwight Sawatsky, who had 3 goals each. As for Benson Hurst, another notable name that I'm sure you all want to know how he did, 3 points in 4 games played for the Buffaloes, of course. Cal Bielman getting some starts, as well as Pete Moreau in the championships. Going back to the U15s, a few ages below that, or I guess the youngest team in the Buffaloes. Hockey Academy. Let's take a look here. Trying to find it. Just taking a look. By the way, U15s, congratulations to them on doing absolutely great work, going undefeated in their 3 games they played down in Penticton. Of course, didn't have a chance to play any other games outside of that, but as for the leading point getters, Forrest Carlson and Gavin Noseworthy been 2 really reliable point getters, top point getters on this Buffaloes team all season long. Like Gordy talked about, Carlson, more of the silky, smooth player, while Gavin Noseworthy, more of the player that is going to get really physical out there and go to the hard areas, crash in the net. Noseworthy had 3 goals, 3 assists, while Carlson had 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points. Sam Carnegie and Cole Landerville, both with 1 goal and 4 assists each. And Maddox Ramage also stepping up with 3 goals. Cohen Reck Seidler with 2 goals, 2 assists as well to be over point per game. A lot of players point per game for the Buffaloes and over, which is just fantastic to see. Congratulations to them. And also Gavin Hildebrand and Michael Kolbaba both getting some action and getting wins. We'll go into the coming up here. Let's see. Well, the U18 female Buffaloes. Let's take a look at them next year coming up. As for the skater stats, of course, some wins in there for this U18 female team, some losses as well, but hey, I mean, they were competitive in each and every one of their games, which is just fantastic to see them carrying that out into the very end. Heidi Danners, Emma Asplund near the top of this team. Danners leading with 4 points in 3 games played. Asplund point per game with 3 in 3 games played. Danners had the 3 goals, 1 assist. Asplund had 1 goal, 2 assists. Julia Schoonbart with 2 goals. She was second in that category on the team. But interesting, 2 defensemen at the top of the points for this Buffalo squad. Of course, for goaltenders, Alex Mills and Brooklyn Adams both playing in games. Adams getting more of the games played, though, with 2 compared to Mills. 1. We'll finally end off here with the U18 prep Buffaloes. Just pulling up their statistics. Yeah, I mean, finishing off 2-1 their weekend in Penticton, or I guess their week, as I should say, in Penticton. You gotta love when, the website doesn't make it this easy. Let's try to get over. There we go. But yeah, fantastic to see. Also great to see that, it was multiple players stepping up for this U18 squad. That was part of their success, right? I feel like when they were having it's a team that scored by committee when they were doing well, and we saw that again. Mateo Andrew with 6 points in 3 games played, leading all Buffaloes in points, 2 goals, 4 assists. Right behind him, Austin Polanski or Polinoski, as I should say, with 5 points in 3 games played. As for Calix Monkman, he finishes his Buffalo career over a point per game in the consolation playoff weekend with 4 points in 3 games played. Had some penalty minutes in there as well. And yeah, Quinn Burfoot and Josh Hope both getting starts. If you want to check out the full statistics, go on over to gshow.ca. And better yet, if you want to check out the full statistics from all games played that the Buffaloes played this year outside of CSSHL play, visit pilotmounthockeyacademy.com. Want to thank Terrico as well as goaltenders and McKenna Fasteners and Tools for sponsoring this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. We should be back. We'll be back actually on Friday night coming up, which will be great. It's a busy week of content coming up for us. I got 2 more podcasts there, and then we're off to Southdale. Short little hike for me. Not really a hike at all. A 6-minute drive to broadcast Game 5 of the Riels and Fort Gary Twins series. To check out our full schedule of content coming up this week, check us out at gshow.ca, as well as checking us out on our social media platforms, mainly Instagram, as that's where we've been posting the most. I'd say X is the second most. Gonna get back to posting on Facebook soon, but yeah, gonna have players, like I said, as well as Kurt Fortney, more of Gordy Tummelson next week, as we will be talking about a whole bunch of other great stuff here on the Buffaloes podcast. We'll end off with Tyson Unruh sending us away here, Buffaloes fans. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future episodes of your favorite podcast or Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy. And until this week coming up, folks, on Friday night. We'll see you then. Take care, Buffaloes Nation. I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth, giving you the salute, peacing out, and waving goodbye. It's been great to be back. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday and a wonderful week ahead, everybody. Stay safe out there. Tyson Unruh, take us away.